I don't see anything going live, which is, Restream has been basically problematic. But I see it on LinkedIn. It's the only thing that's working. I didn't get any coffee today. That's all right. Oh well, we'll just go on without it. There we go. We got the sound. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglash for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. If you're out there, give me a thumbs up or something. I'm watching for the messages. Okay, but I can see you right through the screen. Thank you, lover. I don't know what that means, but thanks for the hi. So let's dig in. Okay, first of all, if you've gotten your vaccine, then Krispy Kremes will give you a donut. So if you've got a Krispy Kremes, I remember when that was the rage, then a lot of them went out of business. I went to the Harley 100th with a guy that owned 160 Krispy Kremes. I wonder what happened to him. If that's you, let me know. Did you know that there are more viruses on Earth than there are stars in the universe? Which is hard for me to grasp. And plus, I get a little skeptical about scientists telling me how many stars there are in the universe when, after the Hubble Deep Space Project, which I keep on my computer all the time, and I have a poster of it right up here on the wall, the Hubble Deep Space Project, you probably don't know about, but an amateur astronomer suggested that NASA take the Hubble telescope once they got it working, the scientists all working together, forgot to test it before they sent it up in the air. There's a lesson. There's another lesson. Test, test, test. Aim it at something and see if it's working. They could have. There's plenty of telescopes on Earth. They could have aimed it out into space. But anyway, they didn't. They got it up there and they said, oops, we made a mistake on something. So then they had to fly up at almost the same cost as putting it up in the first place, to fly up parts up there and work on it. But they eventually got it working, and an amateur astronomer suggested, he said, if you keep a camera pointed on a time lapse almost in the dark, you gather more light and you can basically see farther. Why don't we aim it at a dark spot in the sky and see what we can see? And they said, oh, well, there's nothing up there. We know there's nothing up there because it's dark. He said, well, why don't you give it a try? Give it a month, aim it at a dark spot and see what you get. He said, well, we're busy. We can't do that. But we'll give you 10 days. And it was a little harder than they expected because, it's going around the Earth and it's got to aim at the same spot. As it goes around the Earth, it's got to aim, change and whatever. Anyway, they got it going, and then they finally essentially got the film developed. They overlaid over as they went around. And when they were finally done, in a little piece of sky the size of a grain of sand held at arm's length, they found 1,500 previously unknown galaxies, not stars, galaxies. Each galaxy has approximately 200 billion stars. One image completely rewrote all that we knew about the size of the universe. One image from an amateur astronomer who just thought it would be a cool idea. That's how science progresses. I want you to get that. And what this article says, excellent article, I have it marked up a little bit. It basically says there's so many viruses that for sure there's going to be more coming. And if you think that we can just vaccinate our way to good health, it doesn't work that way. And the reason is because the vaccinations themselves, can only work effectively if our immunity system itself enables the vaccines to hold. So they shoot you with something, in this case an RNA reprogrammer for your DNA or something. I don't know what it's doing, but it's, normally they take like a dead version of the virus and they put it in you, and then your body reacts to it and builds the immunity to that dead version so it doesn't multiply in you. And then you have protection. But it's immune system itself that builds the protection. It's not the virus that builds your protection. So if you don't have a strong immunity, then you don't get protection from the vaccine. It's just that simple. If your immune system is weakened. And there are some who argue that wearing masks and staying indoors all the time is the opposite of what you should be doing, which is going out for walks in the sunshine. Vitamin D, C, and zinc, I take extra, are all good. Even washing your hands can be detrimental. There's beneficial bacteria on your skin. And that alcohol, you think alcohol is good for you? You heard the story, right, about the AA program at the church where the pastor at the end of the program brought out 2 jars. One had water in it, one had alcohol in it, and he dropped live worms into each jar. And the water jar, the worm was fine. The alcohol jar, it died. And he said, "Can anybody give me a takeaway on this?" And one guy raised his hand in the back, who was known to fall off the wagon a little bit. He said, "If you drink enough, you won't have worms." Anyway, I'm not a medical expert. I just want you to know that you can't vaccinate your way to health. Get out there, go for walks, get in the sunshine, have a great day. Okay, now, on that note, another pandemic story. Minuteman Press, print is essential. And this was a story probably promoted by Minuteman Press itself. These people, the guy got laid off from a job of 30 years. He decided to get a Minuteman Press franchise. I don't know if he knew anything about printing or layout or design or anything. You know, maybe I should do that. Sounds like fun. I love the smell of ink. I just love it. I sold printing for a couple of years and had a lot of fun. Didn't make much money at that point, but you know, right now. Anyway, so here are John and Lynn Regis from Frankfort, Illinois. There they are at their Minuteman Press, and they do a lot of different stuff. But a lot of what they do, they did yard signs, banners, flags. This is a great article because it tells you what a Minuteman Press does. We're open for business signs, menus, specials, etc. But a lot of what they have been doing is direct mail, postcards and flyers, and every door direct mail. Okay? And if you're a local business and you haven't tried every door direct mail, I recorded an interview about how you could use every door direct mail to actually, which you don't have the addresses of the people, you just mail everybody in an area, but how you could use it to acquire names. And that, I think, is really, really interesting. That's the second company I've talked to that's doing that. And I think that's going to be a coming thing because basically it converts your advertising spend to an asset. A mailing list is an asset. When banks buy and sell each other, they look at how many credit card holders does a bank have, how many checking account holders does a bank have, and they do the valuation based on that list, the size of the list and the robustness of the list. And a physical address list is an asset for your business. So you can take advertising as just an expense and convert it into an asset. Talk to your CFO about that. They'll like it. It'll help their balance sheet, not just their P&L. Something in depth, deep here, deep for you. Anyway, I thought this was a notable quote. Ad agencies are like cockroaches, not like dinosaurs. And his point was that ad agencies will get in front of whatever parade's going on. They'll adapt. The dinosaurs went extinct. Ad agencies will not get extinct. And as you can see, there's a science theme today. So this is what triggered it all. This was a fantastic article. The sun is stranger than astrophysicists imagined. Okay, so we get gamma radiation. The physics of the fusion that is created in here doesn't explain the gamma rays that the sun gives off. They thought that they came from space and interacted with little, oh, you're not seeing this. Somebody's supposed to say it was out of focus. Yeah, it was out of focus. The Hubble was. Okay. Style consultant, you're supposed to tell me when I'm not putting up any of the articles. I haven't given you the pictures. Well, if you subscribe to WDMA.org, all the articles are featured in the members only section. And you can get hold of that by subscribing, which is free. Or you can join and support our efforts, which would also be great. Okay, this is the best. So far, this is the best diagram anyway. There was a picture of a donut on the Krispy Kremes if you missed that. That was the only other diagram we had, and a picture of John and Lynn. But anyway, there was this theory that the gamma rays were actually mirroring off the sun, bouncing off particles and sort of bouncing off the sun and coming from the sun. But it was a kind of a strange hypothesis. It's been around for about 30 years. Now, suddenly, after 10 years of careful measurement, it turns out that not only are we getting directly shot at with gamma rays from the sun, 7 times more than expected or something like that, but there's a certain frequency that's like missing. It's like missing. It's just gone. And they think, well, if it would have been naturally produced, there should be a whole spectrum. I also found it out in this article, excellent article, you definitely want to read it, it's a long article, that the sun's magnetic field, you know, like we've got the North Pole, your compass works with the, you look at a compass, it points north. Okay, the Earth's magnetic field somehow points compasses north. We have a magnetic field. Well, the sun every 11 years flips over, and the magnetic field changes from North Pole to South Pole, and then back again every 11 years. Beep, 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 like that. And it's missing this one set of frequencies in the midst of what should be a full spectrum. So they don't know what's going on. I hypothesize that there's the old man in the sun, and he's flipping a switch. Up, time to switch, 11 years. You've heard of the 11-year itch. This is the 7-year itch. This is the 11-year switch. Anyway, what I just find funny is that after all the millennia that we've gazed at the sun and been influenced by the sun, it's there every day. We're still completely flummoxed and surprised at what's going on around us. It's a wonderful world full of surprises. So if you think you can predict my behavior, forget it. But since we can't predict what's going to be the next interesting disconfirmation of our theories, we want to measure carefully. And this is a pretty good article by Tina Wilson about measuring marketing. And she makes a great point right at the beginning that if you're only just looking at overall brand revenue on your marketing efforts, you're not going to figure out what's going on, because you can't tell which marketing activities are contributing to the monetary result. And more importantly, which ones need to be adjusted to reach business goals. And you know what she's saying there? She's saying you can't assess the causal impact of something unless you isolate that causal variable. And in the interview yesterday, I was trying to explain to Peter that mail has the greatest ability to isolate causal variables. You know, it's very, very hard to dictate who exactly will and won't see your TV ad. It goes out to the marketplace. It goes out to the neighborhood. One of the famous mistakes of all time was Sports Illustrated accidentally bought some advertising on Saturday morning cartoons. And they may not have even known that they'd done it. You know, sometimes ad placement is a mystery, especially when you do it with algorithms and AI. But they got lots of calls because dads were watching the cartoons with their kids. The dads didn't care about the cartoons, so they were more than happy to call the 800 number and talk to somebody and subscribe to the magazine. It wasn't that the kids were interested in subscribing to Sports Illustrated, it's little kids' cartoons. But the dads were there, and the dads were watching. And so a mistake can sometimes trigger a new breakthrough. But the main point is they didn't intend it to work that way. It was a mistake. It was an accident. They didn't even think there were any dads watching, because it's hard to control who's watching. You don't know. You know, when I was a young boy, I learned all about cross your heart bras. I've never had one, never shopped for one, never really wanted one. But I know about them because it was on TV. You know, You don't control who doesn't see your ad. Whereas in direct mail, you can control who does and doesn't see your ad. So you can mail something different to a prospect than you would a customer, right? And you can mail something different to one type of customer and not another. So if you have high-end customers and you want to come out with a sale catalog, for Musician's Friend, we did extensive modeling. We created dozens of variables about customers that really just liked getting sale offers. Why send those to your best customers who are perfectly happy to buy the rock stars, the most expensive stuff that they can find, the band managers? Why send them the sale catalog? It'll just confuse them. So we were able to keep those separate. When Baseball Express came out with their softball, fast pitch softball, girls softball, we found the customers that had bought pink batting helmets with ponytail holes, and pink batting gloves, and other products that pretty much only the girls would buy. We sent the fast pitch catalog to them. And we kept sending the regular catalog to the firemen and the VFWs that had softball teams. We didn't mix them up. And I could give you 6 or 7 more stories like that. So this is incredibly important right there. It's important to have contextualized performance indicators but here's the problem, and I don't know that Tina grasps this. Customer preferences can change rapidly. Okay, that's one premise. Not every marketing activity is explicitly tied to bottom line outcome. That's also important. Ritson would say that. And you can use previous efforts to compare current efforts. But it's, and I like this, 68% misattribute the return on investment of different marketing efforts. And, we could spend a whole hour on that. But if you're agile in your measurement, if you continually change how you measure, you will never know what's going on. Just imagine that every day you opened a new bathroom scale. You know how they kind of calibrate? Never they used to. The old ones would have a little thing on the top. And what you should do is take your known bathroom scale and stand on it, see what it reads, and then adjust your new one to match it. Or go to the doctor, get your weight, go right home, adjust it. Or put a 50-pound bag of shell corn on it and see if it registers 50 pounds, or salt or something. Anyway, somehow calibrate it. If you took a new scale out every day, you wouldn't know what was going on. If you change the way you measure, and this is one of the problems with the CDC's, measurement of the virus. It seems as though the flu has gone away and pneumonia has disappeared and other things. And I downloaded the overall weekly cause of death report by state back in June, because it had always been reliable and they always measured it the same way. And I thought I'd get an update. It's not there anymore. They've changed the way they measure. Well, if you change the way you measure, you don't know what's going on. And again, that's one of the reasons why mail is so solid, because we can be consistent through time. So that's enough to talk about for today. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart. Bye-bye.